A lot of times people say that, those magical words, we should just partner.
But it's not.
Let's dig into some of the things that our audience should be asking about. One, do I need a partner? Or is there another solution to the partnership? Madeline, today I really want to talk about something that we get asked a lot about us personally, but I think it's a broader topic. And it's what makes a good partnership work. And I guess when you think about that is, when should you kind of look for a partner? What are some attributes to a good partnership? And then how do we align roles and responsibilities a little bit in a partnership? And I know that this is something that you've been asked before because, not only have we been married and together for over 25 years now, but we work together, and we've been working together, for almost 17 plus years. So we obviously have found some secret sauce to that. But again, a lot of people think, hey, I need to get a partner, but they don't really know the why. What do you think?
Well, I find that partnerships are ones that are such a delicate thing, right? And a lot of people don't understand how important it is to make sure that energetically you are aligned with that partner. And what is it about that partner that complements you?
Oh, that's good. I think what you're saying, and what I love about that is, a lot of times people say, oh, I have this idea. And somebody says, oh, I love that idea. We should partner. But they have no idea
if they're even energetically aligned because they liked each other. I know. And
we've, honestly, we probably have made this mistake in the past.
No, we have not.
Not you and I.
Oh.
But we have had business dealings and things like that we might not have made the best selection on somebody to partner with, or maybe it didn't exactly go exactly as planned. And I think, one of the things that when you talk about alignment, you have to, you're also asking, what do you value? And where is your vision for this? And does that align from the standpoint of, what is your goal? Right? Now, for us, we had the same goal. But, a lot of times people say that, those magical words, we should just partner. And
it's not.
Let's dig into some of the things that our audience should be asking about. One, do I need a partner? Or is there another solution to the partnership?
Yeah, I think for starters, I think we should really go through the process of explaining how our partnership works and why it works. Because I think that we are a great example of that. And to answer people's questions, how is it that our partnership, being married, being together, because we spend a lot of time together, right? Now we forgo our office, and now you work from home. And, I work from home. I've been working from home for quite some time, and now is that. So we wake up together. We spend all day together. We have dinner together. The only thing that we don't get to be together is in the bathroom. And, it's a lot of togetherness. And how do we separate the two for us to be able to function as a couple and be able to? For starters, I have a rule. I work 4 days a week. I don't book any meetings on Fridays unless they're critical. And that's the only time that they have. And if I deem that they are critical, then I do, right? And so I stop working at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Standard Time. That is my cutoff time. And so I think you're adapting the same thing, and we just move away from really work mode to us mode.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I'm going to say it maybe slightly different.
Okay.
But to the same thing. We have boundaries. We have very specific boundaries for ourselves individually. And we have boundaries for us as a couple. And we've given ourselves time to be both. And sometimes yeah, we may be working in the same room on a project, but that's work couple, right? And then we have the other where we separate that. And I think that, that's kind of the most important thing, is setting proper boundaries of, no matter what your work, when I was going to the office every day, it's still, we had boundaries. It was, hey, I've got these calls. This is when I'm blocking my time for calls.
Yeah.
This is the time that, if
Mhm.
if you need me, clearly, if something's important, no different than any other couple, you just need to message me and
Right.
call me, and I'm going to answer. But, we let each other know what was going on.
Yeah.
The other,
It's just discipline.
it was, and I think the other thing we did really well is, as business partners, we understood, not initially, we got there,
Mhm.
but once we did get there, where we understood your strengths, my strengths, what you should be spending the majority of your time on, what I should be spending the majority of my time on, and we understood roles and responsibilities
Mhm.
and accountabilities. And I
Yes.
think that no matter what type of partnership you get into, that's important, right? Because if you don't align those things, that's when disputes happen, and it's multiplied if you're married, because especially if you're married and you're working in the same place, because now you have friction, right?
Mhm.
And that's not positive for any business, and it's not positive for your relationship. So I think that those boundaries with established roles and responsibilities and accountabilities helps us stay on task and in focus on what's most important within the boundaries that we've set.
Right. And in partnership, even if you're not married, it's no different than getting into a relationship and understanding if your alignment in that macro side of things, it's correct.
Yeah.
If that macro isn't there, forget about it. Don't even try it.
Yeah.
Seriously, because it's just going to be a disaster.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is, one of the things that took us a little while when we were figuring out strengths and not weaknesses, but
Opportunities.
opportunities, but really things that we should be spending our time on. We went through the process of identifying, in a way, we are. For example, you are a visionary. That means you have certain skill sets that highlight, but you're one of the 5% that actually falls under visionary and integrator. I am more the integrator. Have some vision, certainly. We all do, but that's what I do really, really well.
Mhm.
And I think what helped us when we understood that, and I remember I gave you a section of the book Rocket Fuel,
Mhm.
and you started reading it, and I knew exactly what I was expecting you to do. And you go, oh, that's me.
I know.
I do that.
Yeah.
Then you read a little further, and it goes, I shouldn't be doing that to my integrator,
Yeah.
right? And so we started learning how to manage to that.
Mhm.
And I think that what was great is we both became receptive, because when we first started working together, we were doing things twice. We didn't know it, but I'd be working on something. Oh, I was working on this, or you'd be working on it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Well,
and it was frustrating because we were wasting quality time. We weren't in our strengths, and sometimes, I mean, one of us was in our strength, the other one wasn't, and then it was like, okay, there's got to be a better way. And so I think no matter who or what your relationship is with a potential partner, I would suggest you go through that assessment of finding out if you really are a visionary, if you really are an integrator, because it makes it a lot easier for any partnership to define what they should be working on.
yeah.
And when you have people colliding but not knowing who's ultimately accountable for something,
Mhm.
again, friction, right? And it really helped us to understand, hey, in this area, while we collaborate on making decisions, you're the ultimate decision maker in this specific area. Or in this area, I may be the one coming to you and saying, give me, what do you think? But at the end of the day, I'm making that decision.
Mhm.
But we always did it with the idea of collaboration, but somebody has to make the final decision. And if nobody does, then bad decisions can happen because no decision was made, right?
Right.
Effectively. So I think no matter what type of relationship it is, I know for us, from a standpoint of being a couple, that helped us greatly.
Staying in your lane. Staying in your lane is the best thing you could do when you are married and working together, and even when you're not, even if it's just somebody else, a friend that you decide to partner with, staying in your lane and respecting each other's boundaries is critical.
Yep.
It's critical.
I think though too, and I was thinking about this as we were just talking here, is originally I probably wasn't as much a business partner because I was really, I worked a little bit of the business, but I really didn't work all the business. And I took care of the little pieces that you needed help with. And that was great. And then when we started to really grow, not only within one business, but other businesses and investments were starting to happen, we really became more of a partnership in the truest sense of business. But it was an understanding at that point, I think, that made it make sense. Because I don't think you always, if you're a couple, and just because, I will always say, if one of the people in your household is an entrepreneur, the other one, you're an entrepreneur, you just don't know it yet, right? I didn't initially think of myself as an entrepreneur. I thought of myself as simply as I'm part of the ownership, but I'm really not a partner, right? But now, years gone by, we're partners. Everything we do is intertwined, right? And I think when people look at that from a couple's perspective, that's one thing. But now let's take that and say you're a person and you're looking at either A, you're establishing a business, or B, you find somebody that you believe would be a good enhancer to your business. The question is, what are a couple of things you should look for or you should do before you bring in any partner?
You really want me to go there? Because let me tell you, I'm very passionate about really number one thing out of all, and I have several. I have like 7 things. But the number one thing that I invite everybody to do is a background check.
Really?
Yes.
And why would that be?
Well, because you know what? You can never be too careful, and you learn a lot about somebody when you do a background check. Let me just tell you, they're not going to tell you there's skeletons in their closet. True. So that's the number one expectation that you'll have to have. A, and B, make sure you communicate that. Are you willing to give me a background check? And if they say no, run the other way faster than you can.
Yep, good point, because then they're hiding something.
Absolutely.
And obviously, if they say, well, what about you? Will you be able to give me a background check?
I think absolutely. I think it should be a mutual thing. Yeah. I give you my background. You're going to give me your background check.
Right.
I will go as far as knowing what their FICO score is. Seriously. Okay. Because
that's actually important, because
it is.
If you're commingling funds, you have to know that this person that you're partnering with has similar values to money as you do.
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't
and you don't
think
want
about
a deadbeat, and you don't want a deadbeat as a partner, because what happens if you drop dead? Right, exactly. So my point is that here are some really, I do have a framework for that. I have a framework for everything, and that's because that is the way I keep organized. And I have 7 of them. So number 1, energy alignment. Do they amplify or drain you? Ask yourself that question. So when you're having these discussions, don't just jump into the relationship. You wouldn't do it within a relationship. If somebody you just met asked you to marry them, would you marry them? The answer is no. So don't do the same thing with a partnership. Strategic alignment. Are their goals running parallel or destined to collide? What? That is so important.
Yep.
Right? And so brand and reputation check. Does their name elevate yours or it weakens them? Right? I mean, again, this is not to be mean or anything, but it is important to understand that who you partnering with, is it really going to elevate you? Execution integrity. Do they deliver receipts, not just promises? Are they at the same level? Just because you find a friend that has great energy, and you think that, hey, you do this and I do that, that really complements our product. Should we partner?
Mm-hmm.
No. Value stress test. Who are they under pressure?
Ooh. How would you find that out?
How? Ask questions. Put them to the test. Bring them in. See how they act when there's a customer situation.
Yep.
How will they handle that? Right? Financial and legally clarity. No contracts, no deal, period.
Makes sense.
Exit vision. If this ends, can we both walk away whole? And 9 times out of 10, unless you go through this framework and understanding what to expect, if you don't, I'm telling you right now, that relationship is going to be bad.
That one is very timely. Not that they would know this, but we are entering into, or we're in a partnership with a person. And my brother, who is an attorney, the first thing he said when we were putting together some of the documentation, he said, you always need to look at the exit strategy, and it's not the exit strategy that everybody loves. It's when it all goes to hell in a handbasket, what happens next?
Right.
And how is it positioned? And if it's a technology product, who owns the tech? Who has the rights to buy it? All these different things need to be spelled out. And, partnerships are an interesting thing. And they, even in, now marriages, because, they've become, so much more litigious. But
and transactional.
The interesting part is that nobody wants to talk about the ugly, but you have to have that honest discussion. And in that, all this stuff is before you actually really realize that they really can bring something to the table.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the other thing that's really interesting to me is who asked to be the partner. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a business and you're out seeking a partner, that's different than when somebody says, hey, you have a business, I have an idea, we should partner. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you need to catch up to why they want to be a partner with you versus why you're looking for a partner. Right. Because
that's why you have to put them through the test.
Are you
willing to
agree.
do all of these things? Right. Because everything is great until somebody gets punched in the face.
Yes. I think in anything in life. Yeah.
And that's in marriage, that's in a relationship, that is in an investment as well. Listen, I had an experience with a supposedly friend that I invested in her, and shame on me for not doing the work. I should have Googled her. That's what I should have done. And I would have known a lot more. I didn't even need the background check that I was talking about. And unfortunately, that partnership went sour, and us women want to empower other women to do better, right? And so you become friends, you're excited about them and what they're doing. You want them to move forward. They come and ask you for money. And an investment, and you want to do that. You want to do that for them. You can't imagine not wanting to support this cause. And it's not about the money, right? It is about the way that they handle things after that.
Yep.
And this is how this framework came about, because I don't care who you are, and you can be my sister. You're going to go through that framework.
Wow.
Because I just don't believe that everybody has good intentions anymore.
Yeah.
At least not like I do.
Well, and you see it in the press every day.
Yes.
Right? That somebody is ripped off somebody else. Business partners are no longer partners. You see it in all different business types. But I think in the entrepreneurial space specifically, you see a lot of what I call true entrepreneurship,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have a lot of startups, and people think, oh, this could be good. They have some money. They can invest it too. Well, okay, but if it doesn't align, I don't care how much money they have. It's going to end up badly, right?
Right.
And I think that, a couple of things that you said are really, really important. And I think, understanding who that person is, understanding what their financial, not necessarily financial wealth is, but their
Financial health.
health is, correct.
Right.
And I think that that's one of the most important things, and I think you're right. Entrepreneurs who started from scratch want to help other
Yes.
entrepreneurs. So sometimes we have to, as entrepreneurs, instead of lowering our guard, we have to raise it. And we have to say, hey, I'm not doing this because of any other reason I want to
Yeah.
make sure this is a win for you and for me,
Mhm.
right? And and then when you do that, if they balk at all, run.
Absolutely.
And I think that you'll find, I used to always, I still believe that 95% of all the people are honest, but there's a lot of the 5% that get to the top.
Yes.
And they get to the top because they do things, right? Or, with social media, you can represent one thing, but not bring anything of value.
Right.
So,
No, I agree. It's bad out there right now, and not only from that standpoint, but even going back to as a couple, how do you work together? Again, is stay in your lane, understand who you are, what do you bring to the table, how can you enhance each other?
yeah. Well, you always say it. I mean, we're partners, and our number one objective for each other is to raise the other,
Mm,
right?
absolutely.
And in any partnership, you should
When
be
one is down, you got to be up.
You have to be up. You
can
have to
be
raise
down at
them
the
up.
same time.
Yeah. Well, and if you are, then you've got failure coming.
Yep.
Right? Or you need to find somebody else that can do that for you because
Mhm.
it's not good. But I think more than anything, I think partnerships are great, but unless they are vetted and the criteria is through a structured process that you have
Framework. Yep.
or framework, the risk of bringing just anybody in, and this is no different than, hey, if you have vendors, they are partners of yours if they are good. If they are just a vendor, just remember they don't have a relationship with you as much as you think. If all they want to do is be a vendor. But when they move to that partner type vendor relationship, you have mutual benefit on both sides, and everybody wants the other party to do well because they all do well, right? And so, be cognizant that in any partner relationship, whether it's a vendor, whether it's a contractor, whether it's even employees, right?
Or collaborations for that matter.
Perfect, right? It doesn't really matter the type of partnership. It matters that you're making the right selection to help you and that person be as successful as possible.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And and don't be afraid. If anyone out there frowns upon your standards and what your vetting process is to be able to do business, then you really need to look the other way and end that relationship right then and there, because it's not going to end well.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm not saying that this framework is going to be, ironclad, but it's going to be pretty close, and it's going to give you it's going to give you an overview of what you really want.
I think that's probably a nice way of saying that when you go through that framework, that other party is going to feel a little uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that's a good thing.
Yes.
Because you want to know how they feel when they're uncomfortable. You want
Under pressure, right? One of the things.
And I didn't catch that in that methodology, but that's what you're doing. You're getting them to be in an environment that now you're challenging them to be your partner as much as you should be being challenged to be their partner.
Absolutely.
And just because one looks like they're the top dog, remember the word is partner.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I don't know what your splits are going to be, but you're partners. Wow, I didn't know we were going to get down that deep on that one, but that was pretty good, I think. And so, man, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of our selection process on vetting partners, but also a little insight on how Madeline and I work together and live together to make our success not only professional in business, but in life. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Let's get to work.